Well, I have it at 9 o'clock. It looks like we're on there. So I will call the Thursday, March 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Personnel and Bargaining Committee to order. I certify that all open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 17-item agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved to approve and seconded. Any other discussion? Nothing to change, I don't think. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Has everyone had a chance to approve or take a look at the meeting minutes from February 20th? Any corrections or additions? Hearing none.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Johnson.
I gotta go steal.
Need a
pen
second.
from the TV people.
Need a second to approve our minutes? Second from Nutter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. So item number 5 is discussion, possible action on a new maintenance worker position, and I'm sure that's why Jeremy's here to join us.
So basically what I'm looking for is I just need to add a second custodian, because we're adding 117,000 square feet to my department, and I have one custodian. So I need to add a second custodian, starting the process here so that I have that person in place by September of this year for about a month of training before the new building opens up to us, that we start taking care of it at that point. Resolution is there, what the cost is for the remainder of this year, and then it will be up to, it'll just be part of my budget for next year.
Can you just give this one an hour overtime to take on that extra 100,000 square feet?
I would try, but I don't get any overtime when I do my budget every year.
And he starts when?
I would hope to have this position starting in September. So approval from here, then approval exec finance and full county board, and then working with HR to have the ads running probably end of July, interviews mid-August, and then hiring the first part of September.
I would move for approval.
I'd second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion?
I'm allowed to go to me.
Okay, all in favor of approving the additional maintenance worker position, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Absolutely.
I apologize. I thought you wanted that delayed for a month so you could kind of get your feet wet, so it is not on the agenda. So I apologize for that. I know you emailed me yesterday and I never got back to you, so that's on me. So,
No, that's fine.
sorry about that. The pay wages for the highway workers, it was my understanding after we met that you wanted to delay it a month, and I may have misunderstood that, so I apologize if that was the case.
Well, you're coming in for the new
Yeah, because there were some policies that we had to take a look at and those things as well too, and so we just hadn't gotten those ready to go yet, so, sorry, Neil. Sorry, Ken.
Anyway, I went and talked to a ton of the employees at the highway department, and they're really happy. Morale is up 100% in the highway
That's good.
department, so this is a good
I
move.
didn't hear what you said, Jeff.
The morale in the highway department is really boosted since we have a new commissioner, and they're really happy with the situation, so that's good.
Good.
We like that. We want you to be happy.
It's a tough world.
Does that just mean we'd have to wait till next month?
Till next month, maybe we can set up a time to get together and kind of have a conversation about it, those policies that Al had talked about as well, so.
Is it a problem to wait till next month? I know we can't do it today, but,
It's not at all.
okay.
And that gets me on board too, to talk to highway committee,
Prior to.
just so I get a little more understanding, because it's
Yep.
been kind of short notice on all the little tiny details of it, so.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sorry to get back to you yesterday.
No, that's okay.
sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay.
You should get a,
I think they're set,
Picture
so we'll
badge.
move on to
Oh,
item
yes.
6.
I'll let up.
Discussion action
Actually, you get the
on
picture.
performance review policy related to department heads.
so you can get in the courthouse anytime.
Yes, so this was on the agenda last month, just to start the conversation, just as a recap for Emery's sake as well. So, was it about a year ago, I think we did some revamping of our performance
briefly
review
needed
policy
that.
for the county. And it was implemented as of January of this year. And so department heads basically have till the end of March to do their performance review of employees. What wasn't included in the performance review policy was how our department heads reviewed. We have an MLK day. The courthouse is closed that day, and we do an all-day staff training. And so we were talking about performance reviews, and the number one question was, how are department heads going to be reviewed? So last month, we started the conversation about what would that look like. I reached out to a number of different counties, and the responses I got were either oversight committees do it, if there's an administrator, they do it. A lot of them will obtain anonymous information from staff within the department to use when they look at what the performance review looks like. And then ultimately, it gets delivered to them by, again, either the oversight committee chair or the administrator or whoever that is. So we're looking for a guidance as to what it might look like how we would do it here in the county. But that was just some background as to what other counties do is in regards to performance reviews. So now we're just kind of looking at starting a conversation. What do we want to see it look like? I can start putting together a draft and then bring it back for tweaking as we want to go. We already have the performance review policy, so this would essentially be adding a paragraph to that policy saying this is what we would do for department heads.
Okay. Did anyone have specific thoughts as to how it should look, or who does the review? Or do we want to delay this discussion for
Well,
more months?
it might be, I don't know if you want to, having the discussion is a good idea,
Yeah.
but we have the ad hoc committee that's looking at whether or not we're going to have a county coordinator full-time position or a county administrator. And we meet next Wednesday again, and we met with Andy Phillips and Sarah. We had a really nice discussion with them about how it works both ways in different counties. So,
Certainly.
I think in my opinion, if we had a county coordinator full-time or a county administrator full-time, that person would be responsible for doing performance reviews for department heads. And historically, I know in Human Services Committee, we've done the Director of Human Services. That committee has done a review with input from supervisors in the department. It's kind of been all over the place. I don't know how does it work in the highway department with the highway commissioner?
I don't really.
think it would really ever done a review of it.
Okay. So we have to do something, that's just my thought. Maybe just have a discussion on what you think, and then hopefully the ad hoc committee will make a decision quickly, soon, about what to do, and then bring it to the county board for approval.
And that waiting for that is logical. I can see that point, and yet we could also move forward with what some of our framework is and
Right.
adjust as needed too.
Sure.
Right.
Because ultimately, or kind of having a conversation of where would you gather the information, the who, that can be interchanged at any given time as to how that works. But really, it's, do you want to do the anonymous surveys, for lack of a better word, from staff, or do you just want to do supervisors? Not every department has supervisors, of course, it's just the department head and staff. So that process in and of itself can be discussed. The who does it, that can be decided at some point in time.
I think with Human Services, supervisors got anonymous feedback from staff, and then they discussed it, and then discussed it with the Human Services Committee. But Grant, I don't think we've done that for a couple of years, so we are behind in looking at evaluations for department heads.
Certainly.
My personal feeling on evaluating department heads is that I think we should be taking a multifaceted approach where we are getting input from the staff under
Right.
them in an anonymous fashion, as well as looking at that committee to provide some sort of evaluation, even if we do end up utilizing an administrator for that review. I'd like to see input coming
Right.
from that broader scope, because I think it's important to have those other voices be heard, because it really is different to be working under someone versus be working as the board over them and those interactions that occur.
I agree. I think the more feedback you get as a department head, the better.
Yep, and
So into that end, because of the nature of our department heads and how they have to work with other departments, you could also make the argument that anonymous, or maybe, I don't know, but other department heads or other departments could have or should have some feed work is how, I mean, we want cooperation. And if somebody's being difficult to work with, it'd be nice to know that.
I agree.
Good point. And yeah, and if we need to utilize, remember we have that kind of that work group for, I know it's for disciplinary actions, but there's also that group that could be utilized in some form or fashion as well too. So just a number of different options that really
Yeah.
come forward, so.
Well, and it'd be really nice if when we have these reviews, we're able to provide constructive criticism to those department heads on how to help with the efficiency within their departments as well as the functioning of the county as a whole. Because
Yep.
I know that's certainly something where it's great to compartmentalize, but also sometimes when we do so, we lose track of that big picture.
Yep.
Whatever we do, I think we need to focus on strength-based kind of evaluations, because we really spend a lot of time focusing on negative. And I think that adds to stress among staff, and, because we're always looking for problems, and let's look for what's working well and how we can build on those strengths.
I think we should also stay consistent with, we have our new NeoGov system, and we did the 5 competencies for all departments to utilize, then the 3 additional ones that are specific to the departments. I think we should be consistent and use those competencies as well, too, when
Right.
it comes to the reviews, so.
That seems
Do you
logical.
want to share those competencies for people who may, especially our new member, who might not know what they are?
It's going to take me a minute. I'm not signed into the VPN, so it'll take me just a minute to
Okay.
get those up, so.
I mean, another thing that I think would be wise to include is self-evaluation. I don't know if that's part of our NeoGov
It is.
platform,
It is.
so
It is.
doing that as the directors, I think that would be important for them to do a self-eval and then go through that with whoever's doing the evaluation.
All right, so the core ones, which are ones that apply to everybody. Oh, those are the ones to choose from. What are the ones we have? Let's try this. Do you have them up there? Oh, thank you. Perfect, awesome. Good thing Lisa's here. So the 5 core ones that everybody in all departments uses is job knowledge. And I can get this out to people. There's actually a description for each one of these. I'll just give the category and then I can get this out to people. So it's job knowledge, teamwork, professionalism, communication, and performance. So those are the 5 that everybody uses in all of them. And then these are the ones that are additional. So each department picked 3 of these, but there's obviously more than 3. So one is safety, use and care of government property, ethics and confidentiality, critical thinking, and customer service. And then we have a couple for supervisors' competencies. Those are directing and supervising, planning and organizing, and then decision-making. So those are the different competencies that we have there, so.
Good. Those are all.
And I think NeoGov offered a longer list, and those are the ones that believe this committee ultimately decided to go with, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on this? Otherwise, I think it's provided some framework. So can you put together, start drafting?
I can start putting together a draft, yep.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Then we'll move on to item 7, discussion, possible action on use of vacation and sick leave time policies.
All right, so the next couple of items, if you refer to that sheet that was included in your packet in regards to the different policies, let me just grab. So, and Kellen, after you and I talked, and I was going through a couple, there were 2 other items that have popped up in the last 2 months that I think are relatively simple, but wanted some direction from this. So in regard to the vacation and sick leave, so if you look at that sheet that I had sent out, let me grab it here. I highlighted and underlined the areas that are inconsistent. So if under the introductory period, if you look under paragraph B, it says employees may use accrued sick or vacation hours after 6 months. My understanding is that sick time can be used right away and vacation time after 3 months. That's my understanding. So then if you look down below
And Stacy's shaking her head.
Yes.
Yes.
And so then under vacation, it does talk about the 3 months, but it doesn't say anything under the sick time. So again, just wanted to kind of clarify it, so, because there was some employees that were confused by this recently as to when they could use some time, and actually even had a supervisor come to me and say that they had to decline a person's request on their timesheet for using sick time. So anyhow, it was confusing for people, so I just wanted to get this clarified. So, so as long as I understood it correctly, that it was sick time can be used anytime in vacation after 3 months, I can go ahead and make those changes, bring it back if you'd like, but I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly.
I don't know if you have to bring it back. I think just making those changes, correct? You're good with that?
'Cause my understanding has been approved already, it's just a
Right.
matter of maybe to get changed in the
Right.
handbook type
Yeah.
of thing. Okay, all right.
Okay,
So I'll change that one then.
thank you. That would be good. Okay, so with that, then, item 8, discussion, possible action on payouts of personal holidays.
So that has also come up previously in when an employee leaves, do they get paid out their personal holidays? You know, we pay out vacation and or sick time depending on the circumstances. There's nothing that says specifically whether they should or should not get paid out the holidays. You know, everybody gets 2 per year. So basically just want to clarify what this committee wants to do, if those are paid out or not paid out.
What has happened in the past, Stacy? I keep looking at you because you're the payroll.
Use it or lose it thing.
Right.
It has been.
Okay.
The problem we run into is the sheriff's department, because they get a dump of their holiday days because they don't know if they're gonna have to work the 4th of July or if they'll get off. And that's where this question came up.
Okay.
So what are the wishes? Any strong opinions?
So the sheriff's department, is that part of the union contract or just across the board for all sheriffs, all
I believe it's in the union contract, but when something like that happens, Brett gives it to all his departments.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, hard to keep track of things.
Right. It would seem, okay.
So just to clarify, you're saying they get, if they end up working on that, which is a regular scheduled holiday, it's added in as a personal?
No,
And I'm sorry, I'm new
no,
here, so I
no,
might
it's
be
okay,
asking.
It's, if they work the 4th of July, it's just a normal day for them, but they have another separate bank where I put everybody 16 hours in, they get, say, 120 hours in there, so if they have 10 holidays, so they can take them at different times during the year, so I had to work 4th of July, but I'm gonna take July 25th off,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So what Carol and I have done in the past, if someone leaves, is they leave July 1st, so they get Memorial Day and President's Day, the deputies still get. And then the 2 holidays are lose them or use them, so we've never paid them out for those, or the holidays they didn't work yet this year. But there is nothing in writing now, so.
Actually, I'm trying to think when I worked for the state, I think the personal holidays were use them or lose them, but vacation and then a percentage of your sick time was paid out, so.
Yeah, do we have a feeling how other counties are handling this to be, I mean, I think it's important that we consider being consistent with other people, because we do want our compensation packages to be on board and
Comparable.
favorable when we're looking to retain employees as well.
And we just increased it to 2 personal days, was it last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I do believe, because we used to get President's Day off, but now we get
We made
2
it 2
personal
full.
days instead.
Yeah.
Except the deputies still get President's Day because it's in their contract.
Well, and I guess at the point they've chosen to terminate their employment here is really when this is coming into play. Historically, in positions I've been in, it's been in a use or lose those holidays.
Me
And
too.
I guess I kind of feel that that's maybe fair to the taxpayers, that, well, they're leaving, they aren't getting that full year of service. We could also look at this from the standpoint of those extra perk benefits like personal holidays. Well, you weren't here the entire year, maybe you didn't get an opportunity to use them, but you also, chose to leave employment here.
Right.
Although it's not always voluntary either, so.
Right.
Just
Also,
things to
In the
consider.
past, my example, like you leave July 1st, and you were given 120 holiday hours, but you used all 120. Carol and I will adjust your vacation payout, because you shouldn't have got all those holiday days, because you
Right.
only worked till July 1.
My personal opinion is I think of the personal holidays, it's use it or lose it because you know, you just made the choice not to take some time off. That doesn't necessarily mean it should be paid. I agree with you about supporting taxpayers and paying out for something that you could have used and chose not to.
And I think we're still being, my feeling is we're being fair to the
Yeah.
employees in that they still have the opportunity, you know, to use those before their
Right.
employment's terminated, so.
Right.
But it is a liability cost-wise sitting on the table here, if we're deciding to pay them out. I have no, that's where I'm coming from. I don't know.
Right.
I'm open to discussion if someone feels differently too.
Like Stacy, could an employee say, I'm gonna leave on January 10th and then use 8 and 9 as personal holidays and the 10th is their last day? I mean, you could do
Yeah.
that.
Yes, and that's what people do, is use them up.
Right,
Use
so-
those up first, because it's use it or lose it. And I
Right.
still do have half a dozen, 10 people that do lose 1 or 2 days,
so
that
from a-
don't take them.
So from a financial perspective, if they use those days versus we pay them out, is there any difference when we consider with federal withholdings, things like that, in how it all
No, just
pans
that
out, or
they
it's really a net wash for the county?
receive more of a payout, or, you know,
See-
like if we paid them out, they'd receive more funds, where we pay more social security and Medicare benefit, which it isn't gonna adjust our tax.
No, but it would
Benefit,
affect
burden.
our social security withholdings and such, so. And so we pay more of those when we pay them out versus when they utilize them?
Yep, because utilizing them, no matter what, you're paid 2,080 hours, whether you're here
Sure.
or use vacation or sick. But when you leave, you're getting those chunks.
Yeah, so it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, you know, to the taxpayer, there's a net gain to incentivize the people to use them up rather than be paid out, and I guess I could see supporting that thought process and how we compensate people.
Right,
Seems logical.
yeah. And people need to take their holidays, you know? You need to take a time off.
Yeah.
It's important for your mental health, so.
And I think people are better employees when they're getting that time to,
To do that.
you know,
Right.
rest, and it's
Yep.
good to encourage it.
Okay. So I think we're good, got a policy? We're good?
Use it or lose it.
Just want to do a motion to that, just so we have it official, it's been approved.
Who wants to make them?
I make a motion that we encourage them to use them or lose them.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the use it or lose it?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so item number 9, discussion possible action on pay received for civic duty.
This one also came up relatively recently. We have a policy that employees, if they get called for jury duty, they get paid their normal rates of pay during the time that they're off. But people who serve on the jury they also get paid for being a juror. I think was it $40 a day now or something like that in mileage, or it's minimal, obviously.
$1 a day if you're called, 20 if you're on the jury.
Okay, and so the person provided us with a check that they received for the jury duty, and so we turned it in. But there initially was the question, do I need to, am I supposed to, what is the policy? And in looking through the policy, it doesn't state there specifically that they're supposed to turn that check over. So again, just one of those things where just wanted to clarify, so the next time that comes up, we can at least let the person know that they should turn it over, or they can keep it.
I think it's pretty standard policy if you get paid from your employer while you're on jury duty, you turn over the check. I mean, I got to be at jury duty for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but I mean, I had to turn the check back to the state.
And I don't disagree with that is not, that is a fairly normal
Yep.
on the industry, but again, to the question came up, and I didn't have an
I think
answer
that's
that
pretty
says-
standard.
That's always been past practice, but when it came up this time, it's not it doesn't state that.
Yeah,
in
it should
the-
be in our
Could be
policy.
in the policy, right?
Yep.
You said the employee actually did turn it in, so the employee knew that's what.
Yeah, well, no, not the first time.
Oh.
This has happened multiple
Sure.
times, I guess, so.
And I should clarify, the last one and this one, do you want me to make those changes and bring them back so you can see what the wording is?
Sure.
And then
That'd be
approve it
good.
that way? Would you
I
prefer
think
to do it
would
that way?
probably be
Yeah, that'd
be
good.
Smart.
I'll do that for this one, and then actually I'll do it for the previous one as well, just so you
Okay.
can see what the
As
language
further
is.
discussion on this, I guess, I feel, on the other hand, that those civic duties are extremely important. I don't want to disincentivize anyone from doing it. I actually feel maybe it's good to have that extra incentive and say, hey, you get an extra $40 that day above and beyond. I don't think that, I'm guessing in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small amount that it costs our taxpayers for how frequently an employee is called to jury duty and getting that double payout. Just a thought.
I can't remember the logic behind it, but I think it was pretty clear as a former county employee and state employee, we had to return
Kind of like double dipping in
Yeah,
taxpayer money.
yeah,
We're
be-
paying you your regular wage, and we're paying you
Right.
tax funds for
It was-
jury
there
duty.
was-
They would keep their mileage.
Yeah, you get your mileage and your per diem, but just the pay had to be returned. I would love to be on jury duty. I've only been called once and I got dismissed right away, but
There's probably a reason for that.
yeah, I was the social worker on the case, so, yeah. But in my brain, you're getting paid, you're getting paid your full salary for being gone.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily need a bonus for going to a different route.
Right.
Right.
So there's your incentive for being on jury duty. You still get paid your full pay is more than probably 40.
Plus a mileage per diem, because
Yeah.
that would not be returned.
Yeah, that gets to be kept.
Okay.
I'm okay with that policy.
You write it and we'll approve it.
Sounds good. So turn one
Okay.
over to the county, keep mileage. Okay.
And just, I think it'd be good to have the wording in the policy to clarify for employees that the mileage is kept, just so there's no questions that this
Right.
doesn't come up 5 years from now and no one remembers that discussion.
Perfect. Yep, I'll definitely do that.
Yep. Okay,
All right.
sounds good. I like that.
Yeah.
We are on item 10, discuss and
God, you're really going fast.
the only way to do it. Discussion possible action on educational leave of absence, still on our handbook changes, pretty much.
And that was at the request of Supervisor Nutter.
Yes, because we just approved an educational leave for someone in Human Services. I believe it was Human Services. Do we have a policy on educational leave?
It's not specific on educational, but we do have a leave of absence
Thank you
policy
for
that's
helping me. I put my
non-FMLA
glasses on,
related.
yeah.
So it could be covered under that.
Oh, you've made it really big so I can read it. Thank you.
It's amazing what you can do with these things.
Right,
Oh.
exactly.
You know, there's so much to know when you're a county board supervisor. I was not aware, that, okay, so I don't have a problem. They have up to 1 year of unpaid personal leave.
Correct.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you wanted something in addition to
No,
what
and
that
I think
already
we
was or
worked
not,
out
so.
something special. This person is pursuing an MSW and is doing a field placement, so she or he or they will be here part of the time.
Correct, Monday through
So,
Wednesday,
okay.
I think.
Yeah, I'm fine then. This is fine.
Okay. So, non-issue, nothing to address here.
All right.
Okay, item 11, discussion on possible daycare services offered to county employees. And I believe this, or where this came from
This
exactly.
was from Bridget Turner. She had requested that this be, she approached me and asked me, or told me about her idea and kind of wondered where to go from there. And I wasn't sure exactly who to go to, so I said, well, it's something that's for the benefit of employees, so let's start with this committee, see if you even want to have a further discussion about it and where it goes. So her suggestion would be, is since we're going to do a remodel of this building, is it possible that we dedicate a space for daycare services provided to the employee? The employees would still pay for them, but just, is that something that the county wants to look at as a possible service for our employees? So I just said I would bring it and start the conversation, and you tell me if you want me to go any further with it. Obviously, space are considerations, cost involved, which, I don't know that much about daycare. It's been a few years since I've had to utilize daycare, but whether the fees cover all those costs, I don't know if that's how that works these days or not, I'm not sure. But not only internal or interior, but there, presumably would need to be some outdoor space for kids to play outside. Whether the park's close enough, I don't know. Those are all things that need to be considered.
Yeah, there's a lot to be considered, because it'd have to be a licensed daycare provider, and the state would have to come and look at everything. So
Correct.
it would be a fantastic thing for our employees, but it would be a pretty big undertaking that we would have to consider.
It would.
It would.
And so I didn't start too much on it yet because I wanted to make sure that this was a direction that someone wanted to
I
actually
think
look
it's a
into
great
first.
idea.
Well, as someone that's currently dealing with a lack of daycare available, I think that it's really an important thing for our employees, and it's a huge perk for a job if you have the daycare. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be paying regular fees for it or anything, but just having that available as a resource to our employees, I think that's going to add a lot of efficiency to how things run in the long term, because you're going to have a lot less of those absences. And really, when a key employee is absent, it does affect the rest of the department, the rest of those projects they're working on, and probably has some hidden costs that we don't necessarily think about. I think it's worth the discussion to say, do we have the ability to provide that for our employees, and can we do that and structure it in a manner where it's not a burden, to the taxpayers? Because it really does affect things. I know, speaking from personal experience, we had our situation change where we were not able to continue using our daycare provider. The waiting list everywhere is 5, 6, 7 families deep unless you're willing to drive 45 minutes to get your kid to a daycare center, and that's, also a big fact on your ability to continue in your current employment. So I think it is something that could provide a lot of value to the county as a whole.
It would be interesting to find out how, because I know Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Strum has Bright Beginnings daycare in their building, and I don't know if it's a contractual thing that there's, a separate agency that runs the daycare center and uses the church. I mean, I'm not sure how that works. I mean, would we have to hire staff? Would we become a daycare? I mean, I don't know. There's so many. I think it's a really great idea, but we need to explore with the state how that would
Certainly.
work.
And obviously, there's a lot of pieces that would have to be looked into before any
Right.
kind of planning could go. Yeah, the other piece, of course, would go to property and see if they're, because they're in charge of the whole facility, whether they are willing to or able to do that type of thing. Because, as we all know, they're looking for the money for the remodel for this in the first place, and so certainly that would be an added expense, so.
This room could be the day. No, it'd be too horrible.
It would have to be the jail.
Cots are there.
See, we're already ready to go.
Food is already there.
There should be plenty of room over there, yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
I mean, there's no way we could do this without incurring some cost for the taxpayer, because we don't have a facility for it. Right.
And it may not be feasible, but it is worth the discussion.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And,
Yeah.
and daycare is the number one, lack of daycare is kind of almost the number one issue in this county there's no daycare.
Well, and the other issue, of course, is, probably some kind of a survey with employees. Will employees use it?
Right. We also have.
That's the other piece of it.
We have that little pot of alpha funds that no one's gotten their hands on.
Alpha?
That
Oh, ARPA?
ARPA,
Sure.
alpha. ARPA funds could be used, maybe. It's an idea. It's a great idea. I love this.
I mean, a survey would probably be a great place to start. Is there interest from employees, first of all, before we waste any more time or resources? And then we can revisit after that.
Where does the Whitehall School sit on theirs right now? They were looking at one also.
Yeah, they were.
So, as I understand it, they're waiting for somebody they're willing to provide a space, but do not want to run it for various
The space
reasons.
they were looking at, that
It's,
Well,
The old lumberyard.
and
It's available.
I know they were kind of saying, the last I heard, it was critical they know whether they're going to set that space aside, because that was going to affect their design process for that building, and I don't know what they arrived at on
I
that,
haven't
but,
heard that.
yeah, so I can't say whether that's going to be something that's even available to a provider should someone want to step up and run it. But, yeah, I think a survey is a great way to start. At least we can gauge if it's worth spending time discussing further.
Yeah, I love this. Good old Bridget. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I think we'll start with that.
Okay.
Is that something that,
we can take care of that.
take
so
care of that?
We'll get that
Okay.
out to people, so, okay.
Sounds good. We'll start with that and see where we go and revisit hopefully next month.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have a HR department update.
Yes, and like I said, I was going to have Karen and Shelley come down and introduce themselves. They must be busy with stuff right now because I don't see them down here. So we'll get them down here one of these days. But we are fully staffed and things are going well and, in my opinion, calming down. So it's a good thing. So
Lisa, do you concur?
Pardon?
Things calming down?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's going really well. I think they're both good members to the team. They're learning and we're figuring things out, so.
And congratulations and kudos to you for managing that. You were a one-woman show.
Well, I did have Rick, and I'm very thankful he was here to help.
I know,
So, and
but
Kayla in the background.
I really
But thank
appreciate,
you.
I think all of us really appreciated your,
Thank you.
she definitely is and was a rock star during that period
yeah,
of time.
you
so.
are a rock star.
Yes.
Thank you.
Other than that, let's see, just an update. We talked about performance reviews earlier, just kind of a status on things. The deadline for the performance reviews for the first round is March 31st. We're, being a little flexible on that date being the first time and kind of navigating the whole NeoGov system and trying to get through that type of a thing. So answering questions as they come in. I think we're at about 7% right now are completed, but the report, 7% completed, but the vast majority are in process. And then there are a few that aren't, but that's because there's a few employees that aren't included in the process. For example, LTEs, fill-ins, those kinds of things are not included in that process. So that's moving along, and like I said, it's really just a fact of navigating the system. We've been using child support a little bit as a guinea pig, so Penny and I have been kind of utilizing the performance reviews over there and seeing how things work and where it goes and all that kind of stuff. Because we're not always clear as to when you push a button that says it's going to do this, where does it go after that? And so we've been using a little bit of a guinea pig over there. So we're learning that and we're getting it down over there. So, and I'll get into the next thing with the turnover report. That was included with the packet as well too. That's basically a listing from December to present. Shows the positions that have been filled, the ones that are currently active and open, and then a couple that are on hold for a number of different reasons. I believe, just to update your list a little bit, I believe the Parks groundkeeper, I think those interviews have been conducted already, so they are in the process now of making offers. And I think
There's just a couple dates you might want to correct.
okay.
In the highway department, and I'm really sorry about Eric. That just was like heartbreaking to me. But you have 5/17, should be 3/17. And I think for Randy too, 3/4. You have May, we're not into May yet.
He's retiring at that time, so.
Oh, okay.
So that one's right.
Oh, so are they
Yep.
both right? Maybe you just need to explain those dates to
No,
me.
I'm just trying to find him here.
No,
so-
Eric's, you probably correct.
Oh, yeah. No,
Because it's
that-
got last day filled.
Sure, yep. Nope, the Eric one, that we would need to change that one.
Okay.
But Randy, yes, he's retiring, so we knew that.
He's
He gave us
leaving in
plenty-
May.
He
Okay.
gave us plenty of
All right.
notice on that one. So,
I'm
yep.
sorry.
Nope,
Okay.
you're good.
No, but it looks like there's a lot of things in process and
There
a
is.
lot of things not open.
Things are cleaning up a
They are.
little bit.
Yeah,
Mhm,
so
yeah.
that's good.
So,
That is
we're
awesome.
definitely moving along. So, any questions about that?
And the seasonal jobs with the park, those are going to be offered, those are going to be out, are they out there already?
They are, the interviews have been conducted, and I believe that they're in
Oh,
the
good,
process of
okay.
being offered. So,
Okay,
yep.
great, all
Mhm.
right.
So, any other questions?
Looks good.
And then just the events portion of it, a couple things. Actually, the audiogram testing is happening today. I think Highway Department was this morning already, and then I think the courthouse here is going to be here shortly. So we're getting that completed. You may have seen Karen was going to send it out to the board members as well, too. Something that we haven't, I don't know if we've done it before. The minutes in motion, I don't know if people have heard about that before. That's through Gunderson. Basically, it's just a way to get people active. So people can sign up and they keep track of, if it's walking or gardening or mowing the lawn or whatever it is. All of that is just log your minutes, and there are prizes for people as to how many minutes you do. So that's through Gunderson. So people have until March 27th to sign up. We're also doing one just Trempealeau County itself. They just let Karen know, and they can log their minutes, and we just have a gift card for somebody who does the most, or we'll do a gift card drawing for everybody who participated, that kind of a thing, just to get people involved in that.
Mowing the lawn, that's pretty optimistic of you to bring up right now.
It goes
Shoveling.
through.
When we still have a
Goes through sometime in May,
10
so.
feet of snow in our yards.
It goes through sometime in May, so. And then April 5th, we are coordinating the National Walk Day is on April 5th, and so there's going to be 2 times set up on that date for employees if they want to meet in front of the courthouse to do basically a half an hour walk around town just in commemoration of that day. We're doing 2 different times, so that way if there's our departments that have a small number of employees, they can still take turns and leave the office at any given time to do that. So,
Cool.
so again, Karen's setting that up for April 5th, and if it's bad weather, then we'll do April 6th, and we have a backup plan. If it's bad weather that day, we'll do it inside. So, got that squared away as well.
I'll be mowing my lawn April 5th.
Well, I thought you had a lot of snow yet.
I'm just being
I know,
ridiculous.
And then the other thing is, we've been looking at some job fairs. The Chippewa Valley Technical College is offering some job fairs. I know I emailed it to you, but I just want to give you, this is just a sample only. This isn't the final. Yeah. Just want to get some input or feedback from that to see what people thought on the information contained in there. But we thought it might be
you.
helpful, particularly with the schools, kind of get our name out there, set up a booth. Karen would go to it, type of a thing, so. The first one is April 12th, so I do want to order these sooner rather than later, so if you have any input on them either today or before the end of this week, let me know, because I do want to order them sooner rather than later, so.
I like it. I was looking at it online. I thought
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
okay.
pretty good. So,
Okay.
Any other comments from the committee?
We did have some previous materials that Amy and Krista had used. For example, there's a, I don't know what you call it, it's like a stand with a big poster type of a thing on there. It's actually pretty cool. And so we have that to utilize. And so we do have a number of things already, so this would be a relatively nominal cost, so.
Sounds good to me. Any
Okay.
concerns?
All right,
Yeah,
that's,
go ahead and print them.
all right, that's all I have for the department update.
Okay, and I'll pull the agenda up. So then the next thing on our agenda is actually a closed session.
Yes.
I'd like to go back to item 5. I was
Okay.
just reading the resolution. At the time the resolution was actually made for that,
Oh.
we were short a member.
I just want to steal him real quick before you go on the closed session. I just need to take your picture.
Okay. Well, he's got a question on your maintenance worker
What?
position.
Yeah,
so-
but anyway.
Or comment.
Oh,
We
there was-
didn't have a member, so I'd like to add Emery's name to
Oh.
the
Oh, sure.
resolution.
Mhm.
And then we can sign them before a board meeting or
Yep,
whatever.
that works.
So
Okay.
I'd just like to, just a clarification.
No big deal, we can do that.
Yep.
So, anything else before we go into closed session? Okay, well, they can do
Well,
picture and
well,
then
you can do
we'll
the-
wait, TV station can
Oh, okay, yeah.
sign
that'll work.
off and
Yeah, right, exactly.
do it next time.
Oh, I just feel terrible about Eric.
That was sad.
Yeah.
Did he have a heart attack, maybe? Cutting, because
I don't
he
I
was
don't know the
cutting wood?
details, yeah, I don't know the details of it.
That's what I heard. So young,
Yeah. very.
46.
Wake is today, funeral's tomorrow. We did send some flowers, so,
Good.
so.
I heard he had a heart or a pig valve or something put in his heart when he was 30.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if there's underlying or, I mean, it's just terrible.
Should have right.
2 young kids, 2 girls.
I know.
Maybe we'll talk more about that in close.
It's like Rob Ryquine, his father, Rob Ryquine.
Hmm.
He was a county board member, and first his father
sorry?
died, and then 8 months.
We're about to, we're just missing a member or two, so we're getting there, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're still on TV.
Yeah.
Edward.
I was going to.
Well, we can do that without John, really. Although we can't do voice vote.
Yeah, but although he can chime in when he gets back
We
to
probably
us, so,
thought that we were done.
yeah.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session. Or do we have to?
I'll do it.
I make a motion to go into closed session for Wisconsin statute 1985, hearing 1 through C, to update the committee and consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data regarding county personnel.
Motion made. Is there a
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Second, all right.
Johnson, yes?
Nutter, yes.
Nelson, yes.
Yes.
Yes.